Today, I'm planting mushrooms. So I am growing some mushrooms. Now, I'm not a growing channel, I'm not a vegetable channel. There's plenty of those videos out there that do all this sort of stuff. So you may be wondering what the hell's going on. But I am, as you know, interested in my diet, in the food that I eat, and I'm also interested in my quest for England. England is a wonderful place in which, in the landscape, we often go out and we see all sorts of fungi, and we know that some of it's edible and some of it definitely isn't. And my friend Sean James Cameron said, look, I know some people who grow mushrooms or produce kits to grow mushrooms. Would you be interested in giving it a whirl? I said, yeah, actually, that would be fantastic. Get to know something like mushrooms, because I know that they're a great source for vitamin D, or at least they can be, even though they grow in usually sort of dark, damp places away from direct sunlight, which normally you get vitamin D from. So I'm indebted to Sean James Cameron. Do check out his channel. I'll put a link in the description. So I'm going to give a go to growing the Merryhill Mushrooms. Merryhill is the company that provide these kits, which I think if you go, and I'll put the link to their website, you can go and find out about them and get your own kit. Now, I should say, not paid to do this, and I believe that Merryhill themselves have said they don't want anything in return. So this is purely an experiment. I've never done it before, and I think it's going to be great. But apparently the mushrooms only take about 2 weeks to start growing, so we can come back and have another look to see how they're doing. And in my house, I have a perfect place to put them. So let's have a look and see what we've got in the kit, and then we'll get round to actually putting whatever it is that we need to do. The first thing I just want to say is, it says on this little card that comes with it, you simply cannot beat the taste and satisfaction that comes with growing your own mushrooms. And I would say that's probably the same with growing your own vegetables or anything. Your own mushroom growing kit in front of you has been lovingly hand planted to produce the finest mushrooms possible. Simply follow the double-sided instruction leaflet referring to the product box, and for all tips are in there. So we've got all the necessary information, which is great. The box looked very well presented, I have to say, and it looks like, at first I thought, oh, these are the mushrooms in here and you plant them in here, but actually I believe, and we'll investigate this a bit further in a minute, that this is one kit with one type of mushroom, and then this is another kit with a different type of mushroom. So we'll have two lots of mushrooms to have a look at and explore. So that's really good, isn't it? I'm excited. So it says on the packets that both of these different varieties are ready to grow. So that's great. So it's going to make it really easy. So we've got two different varieties, as I just mentioned. One is, and I think both of them are familiar to most people, and you find them in the supermarkets, I think. So this first one here is chestnut mushrooms, and they're the sort of enclosed lidded ones that I often use, and they're very nice in salads, or I tell you what I do like to do, and I haven't done this for a while actually, and I will try this, is, especially if they're small, is to get them in a little saucepan with some butter and a little bit of salt and black pepper particularly, and then slowly, I don't know whether it's not really boiling. I don't know whether you'd call it sautéing them in a little tiny saucepan, or even in a frying pan. But anyway, that's what I like to do, and they taste absolutely delicious. Now, I know some people, they're not into mushrooms at all. It's the texture, or they may be allergic to them or whatever. So obviously this isn't for you. So we've got chestnut mushrooms, I guess because they look a bit like chestnuts. And the other one is, now I had to take advice on how you pronounce this because I wasn't sure, shiitake. shiitake mushrooms. Now these are the brown ones, and I occasionally buy those. I think they're shiitake ones that I buy, but they look like it from the picture. And again, they're lovely in salads. I just find that they're such an unusual vegetable, or is it technically not a vegetable? I guess it's a fungi, isn't it? They're just unusual, different sort of weird mouth feel, but wonderful. So, and great in cooking, as I say, good source of vitamin D, so I'm told. Right, so I've got to make the decision. Which one shall we look at first? I think let's go to the chestnut mushrooms first and see what we've got to do. So I've got the instructions here on how to do this, and I'm going to kind of just film it rather than try and make it all very sexy, because when you're doing this sort of thing, I haven't got other cameras, there's only the one camera, so hopefully you can follow me as I do this, and let's hope this makes sense. The first thing we've got to do, it says, is find an indoor location free from draft and areas of direct sunshine, avoiding heat sources. Well, yes, I have got a place, and I will be placing this in at the end, but if I did it where I'm going to put it, I couldn't film. So that's the first instruction. The second is cut along 2 dotted lines, rolling the liner over the height of the flaps, and then stroll down, what does it say? Stroll down the crease? I don't think they mean that. Fold down the crease. Now there is a dotted line here, but there is no other dotted line. So I'm assuming that the other dotted line, yes, is here. Oh, I see. So if I cut here, let's just do what it says. Cut that, probably don't need that. It's got words on it, but I didn't read. But then there's another dotted line here. This is, I know I'm doing this and I have a horrible feeling that I shall go wrong. Right, so that was that. Next up is cut along the dotted lines, rolling the liner over the height of the flaps, then down the crease. There is a liner. Here we go. And I can't help feeling they mean down here. Like that. Okay. So inside, I notice there's another bag, which I think is what we water and then we spread on the top. And I believe that inside that is the culture of mushrooms. But before we go any further, have a look in here. So I assume that that's the compost in there, that the roots and all of the rest of it is going to go, unless of course maybe the mushroom seeds, or I guess they're not seeds, I don't know, the whatever it is that makes mushrooms, and as I say, I'm not a gardener, it might be in there, because this packet is the topsoil, I think. Now reading on this, it says place the open bag of the topsoil upright on the kit. Okay, and add 100 millimeters of water and then leave it for 5 minutes to soak all the way through. And I assume that that then will slowly soak down in time, and then you just spray later on. So let's do that. I've got water already here, so I'm going to pour that in. And it says leave it for 5 minutes, so presumably it acts a bit like a sponge. So let's leave that, come back to that in 5. So 5 minutes has elapsed. I've made myself a cup of coffee in the meantime. Excuse me. Having a thirsty work doing this mushroom planting, you know. So the next stage, it says on here, is to pour the contents of the bag into the compost spread, spread evenly, but maintain a loose, bumpy look. It should not be placed on flat or indeed pressed down. So it's just a loose sprinkling. Now I've made a slight boo-boo here. At the very beginning, you'll remember I folded the polythene down, and I had the flaps, the side flaps also down. They should be up. So you can see now I've just made an adjustment here. They should be actually up so that the polythene goes over the top. So at this stage we've got a bumpy surface, we've got the soil in, we've got a little bit of extension at the top here, and then we take the card that I discarded, the lid rather, and apparently we leave that, according to the instructions, on the top, what does it say, for the first 8 days. So we just place that on the top like this, and I guess that's just to make it as dark as possible, I assume, although struggling to actually stay on there, for the first 8 days. Now actually on top of the lid here there is this handy little tick off for the days. It says on there when the kit is started, and then you can tick off each day on and off, and then remove this lid afterwards after 8 days. And during this time that the lid is on there, you don't need to water it. So I shall mark that up a bit later, and then when I put it on the shelf, out the way. So that's it. I can't do any more with this one. So we'll move that to one side, and I'll do all that, and we'll bung it in the place it's going to go at the end. So there's a fact, a frequently asked questions troubleshooting guide as well, just in case things aren't going right. But we're going to move on to this. I'm very curious what we do with this. Right, the next one is this one here, the shiitake mushrooms. These are the brown ones, and it looks like this is a lot simpler than the other, than the chestnut ones. So this comes in a bag. There is another bag that comes with it, which the instructions came in. I believe this is supposed to be the humidity bag. It's basically a clear carrier bag by the looks of things. So that's okay. Now, having read the instructions, we cut along the top here, which I've actually already done, and we're going to take the whole of this and place it in this. I guess because it's just a bit bigger, and it will aerate the overall thing. So in order to do that, the only way I can think of doing that without making a mess is to invert it like this, and with a bit of gentle persuasion. So that is now inside my bag, and the instructions are place it onto a plate. Now I've got a plate. It's an old what do you call it, plate, an oven plate, an oven tin. So I'm going to place it on there because that's really all I've got, and that will do. I'm just going to fold this down a little bit, and I'm guessing that this, because it's acting a bit like a greenhouse in a way, is you know, just to have access, is the clearness of the bag, and it adds a bit of humidity from the heat. So that's quite handy, isn't it? So then we just spray it with a bit of water, and we do this for about 7 days, and then the crop will start to appear. I'm just going to spray in the bag to create a little bit of humidity. So I'm spraying on the bag as well as the thing, and that's probably all it is. So having done that, we place that into our back room. It says here a tip, don't place in a completely dark room. There needs to be a bit of light, but not direct sunlight. So where I'm going to put it, I think is perfect. It's out of the way, it's in my utility room. So let's position these, and then later on in another video, I'll come back and report on how we are doing. There we go. So this is my utility room. You may have seen it if you've been watching my videos before. I'm in a 2 up, 2 down Victorian terrace, and this is what used to be, I guess, the old dining room at one point. But and I used to do my Vobes show here in this back room, which is why this is the way it is. that used to be in their little sound recording booth for corporate videos if I'd had to do voiceovers and things. But anyway, now it's a bit of a junk room, utility stuff stored that I need, including my lights and bits and pieces. However, I keep it dark, I keep the curtains pretty much drawn, and I think it's going to be the perfect place for the mushrooms. So I've got them on this shelf. I can come in and spray this every day. So that's the shiitake mushrooms, and over there the chestnut ones. So that's it. I don't have to do anything, and I will come back and I will keep you posted how they're doing. And of course we'll do an episode in which I harvest them and create a meal, either a mushroom soup or the butter mushrooms I was talking about, or a salad or something. We'll fit them into the diet. Anyway, thank you for bearing with me in this video. It's been absolutely interesting to do it. Thanks to Merryhill for providing these wonderful mushrooms. And as I say, the link will be in the description so that you can check them out, see if you want to give it an experiment at the same time, and we can compare notes. Big thanks to Sean James Cameron for organising the whole thing. And if you'd like to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, sponsor the shows, or rather become a patron and help me, then that would be great too. Take care. Thanks ever so much for watching. I will see you next time. Till then, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh, what lovely little mushrooms. Can't wait to see what they look like.